Set 10 is almost here, and for my first video, I wanted to do a first impressions video and go over some of the changes you can expect. There will be more videos coming in the future that go over the new mechanics in detail, and of course, reveal all the secrets Set 10 has to offer. Okay, let's get the big one out of the way first. Yes, Legends are gone and Chosens are back. For the players who are unaware, Chosen was the Set 4 mechanic, which was quite divisive to put it lightly. Some players loved it, others hated it so much that they quit TFT. In Set 10, they are called headliners, but I'll just keep calling them Chosen, and they work like this. If you currently don't have a Chosen, then you will have one in your shop every roll. If you have one already, then you will still see a new Chosen every 4 shops, but you can't buy a new one in your shop before selling your current one. They cost triple the amount of gold because they already upgrade to 2-star when you buy them. Additionally, they also give +1 to one of their traits and have a bonus effect that is different for every unit. Some units will simply have more HP or AP, but you can definitely find some unique effects as well that will completely change the way that unit is being played. Chosen returning isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of players like the mechanic because if you know which ones to pick up, it can make for an easy win streak without having to commit to anything. Later in stage 4 or 5, you just sell your setup and pivot depending on what you hit in your roll down. In case you're wondering, a Chosen can only appear in your shop if there were at least 3 of them left in the pool. I don't think griefing will have that much of an impact in normal ladder play, but it wouldn't surprise me to see competitive players struggling with reroll and having to focus more on win streak setups and flex play. For the next part, I want to talk a bit about emblems. First of all, there is no more URF legend that guarantees you an emblem at the start of the game. Considering the meta we just had in set 9.5, for a lot of players this is probably a positive, but for me emblems are usually among the most interesting items I can use. Giving units traits that they weren't designed for often allows you to break out of a conventional playstyle. In recent memory, we had the Zorn and the Admin emblems that definitely open up a lot of creative plays. Something you will notice very fast when playing set 10 is that there are no more augments that give emblems. There are no more hearts, crests or crowns for any trait. Additionally, for set 10, we also won't have the augment Ancient Archives either. This means that we are limited to carousels or have to get lucky and receive a Tome of Traits from a PvE round. I understand the reasoning behind it because it would certainly clash together with the Chosen mechanic and we would end up with something similar to set 9.5 with everyone going for vertical traits. The alternative would be Riot having to over-nerf those traits to the point that they don't feel satisfying to play. For me, this is a lose-lose situation. I think emblems are an important tool when trying to be creative. The new system is likely easier to balance, but it is also going to be much more streamlined and likely feel boring quite fast, because you can't deviate from the path that the developer intended. During the playtest, anything that required an elusive emblem together with the Chosen felt completely out of reach and never worth aiming for. Aside from emblems, I also want to mention craftable items. I made no secret about my disdain for the direction TFT has been taking regarding its itemization. Every craftable item nowadays is dumbed down to give a bit of power and barely any item has any identity left. For flex players, this is great, but I do miss a lot of the old items because they allowed me to interact with my opponents or open up fun and interesting tech that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Sadly, this trend continues with set 10. The 2 most important item changes are Rapid Fire Cannon and Night Harvester, because both of them are getting removed. A glove and a chain vest will now build into a steadfast heart. This is a tank item that reduces damage taken with an enhanced effect if the unit is above 50% HP. 2 bows will now build into red buff. This item gives a bunch of attack speed, some bonus damage and a burn effect. Both of these new items are definitely useful and will see a lot of play, but I do have to admit I feel quite sad that Rapid Fire Cannon is getting removed. Yes, some units like Mordekaiser and Nila were abusing the item a bit too much, but it was also a crucial item to make a lot of melee carries viable. I stopped counting how often I saw my melee carries be completely useless in the first row. Unless they have something built into their kit, you will have to rely on items like Edge of Night or Quicksilver to find any success. Overall, I think removing Rapid Fire Can is yet another decision to make the game easier to balance at the cost of interesting builds and fun comps. The final part about this video will be about the new units and traits. It is a bit weird to barely talk about the new units, but truth to be told, I feel like it's a bit early to judge them. Balance at the start of a new set is usually all over the place, which makes it hard to get a good read on how the units will perform. I think the legendary units overall felt a lot more interesting compared to the previous sets, and you can definitely notice their presence on the board. It is quite hard to miss a Jhin that is stacking his bench full of instruments and then proceeds to obliterate the entire board. One of my favorite units is definitely Illaoi, because she spawns with 2 placeable tentacles similar to Azir in set 4 and can even respawn them when casting her ability. She will be an extremely important tech piece for a lot of comps, especially involving the emo trait that grants mana for each allied unit dying. Ziggs, Sona and Lucian also left positive impressions with noticeable effects on the board without feeling too oppressive. Only Qiyana felt a bit off, especially without her headliner buff. She feels closer to a budget Tahm-Kench from set 6, and I'm not sure if she will succeed in making an impact. But who needs Qiyana if you can have a Yorick 3-star filling the board with a bunch of ghouls to take apart the enemy team? These are my first impressions. I think you will enjoy the set if you like to play flex and want to be competitive, but I think you might have a hard time if you like to think outside the box. I hope you learned something, and see you next time.